All right. Hello, Joaquin.
Hi, Kent.
How are you, sir?
All good. Thank you for asking. How about you? How are you?
I am good. Thank
Great.
you for hopping on, guys. We are lucky to have Mr. Joaquin Arias. Joaquin is a Panama real estate veteran and a beaches expert. Joaquin, you've been at the beach for how long?
Thank you for those kind words. You're far too kind.
Come
Well, I've
on,
been
man.
doing real estate on the beach area over 10 years, and I moved permanently to the beach area almost 5 years. A little bit
Yes,
over four. Yes.
4 or 5 years out at the beach. That's awesome. And you're in Palmar, right?
I'm in Palmar, San Carlos. That's correct.
Yes. All right, cool. Well, guys, so the idea for today is Joaquin is forms a part of our beach team. He's
Right.
fantastic. He's based at the beach. As he just said, he's been there for 5 years, been doing real estate for 10. So you got an expert here. And what I want to do is what I've been trying to start off the year doing, which is saying, okay, let's say I've never been to Panama. Let's say I'm thinking about buying. Maybe I've been out there a couple times before. Today, the plan is to try to ask the questions that you guys might want to have the answers to. And of course, we love interaction. So, hello, everybody. Would love to see where you guys are watching from. Mara, Karen, thank you for joining us.
Thank
And
you.
anyone else that's watching. So, okay, first question I've got for you, Joaquin, is what questions should someone ask themselves when they're trying to decide what area of Panama's beaches to live in? What's
Well,
important?
well, it's very important to point out that the infrastructure from Panama City is built towards the Pacific coast. So it's an hour and a half, hour 15-minute drive to the main beaches. Coronado is considered the hub of the beaches. It was developed over 70 years ago. So all the infrastructures there already, the hospitals, the banks, the street malls, even the cinema. We have everything that you might need. And also healthcare from First World is at service in Coronado.
Cool. I'm going to stop you along the way just in case people are joining us. We got Joaquin Arias, expert in the beaches. And so far, what you've said, Joaquin, is okay. We've established that kind of Coronado is sort of the epicenter of the beaches area. Like you said, hospitals, movie theaters, and that's sort of where the main roads going outside of Panama City are going towards. So, yeah, and I've got a ton of questions. So I'll try to kind of reorient you a little bit. So I'm thinking what do I even need to think about? What should I ask myself? It sounds like maybe how developed you want your beaches area to be. Maybe that be a question to ask yourself if you're trying to decide where to move to within Panama?
Yes, it all depends on what you're looking for because we already have well developed gated communities. That inside that gated community, we have all the amenities, the golf courses, the marinas, the restaurants, everything. You don't have to go out from your
Okay,
gated community, but
sure.
you also know that it's people there already living. So there's action, there's a lot of people, expat communities. Or if you're looking for something more secluded, more private, there are small beaches that are not as much as developed. So it depends on what you're looking for. There's a little bit of everything for everyone.
Love it. That makes total sense. So, guys, the first question you might want to ask yourself is, do I want to be around a lot of people or not? And Joaquin just described Coronado. I would say similar communities in that sense, which are gated, sort of, I don't want to say a bubble, because the great thing about Panama is there are really people from all over the world in each one of these communities.
That's
But
right.
so communities, let's do a quick list. We've got Coronado, Buenaventura, Vistamar. What are some other kind of top communities if you want to
We
go
have
that angle?
Bijao, we have Punta Barco, we have Vistamar, we have Gorgona, we have Punta Chame. There's a little bit of everything for everyone.
Okay, but now those areas you've just described, Gorgona, Punta Chame, etc., those are less communities and more just sort of like I live out at the beach. I'm
Beach
not
areas,
like
correct. Yeah.
cool. Okay, so that's one question that you got to ask yourself is, all right, do I want a bit? What about expats? Are there any particular areas? Let's say I'm an American or a Canadian. I am
Yes.
an American. Um,
Yes.
uh, let's say I want to be around my people, and then the next question will be, I just want to be around non-Americans and non-Canadians or whatever. So if I'm an American / Canadian, where
Yes.
would I generally gravitate towards if I want to be around my people?
Well, that's a great question, and I'm going to let you in a story that happened to me last week. There are buildings like Royal Palm or Coronado Bay that are expat buildings where the majority of people are from Canada, United States, or some Europe. And I have these buyers that I was doing some showings in Royal Palm, and we were in the elevator, and those elevators are very big. Like we were 10 in the elevators, and they were asking like, where are you from? And everyone was from either United States or Canada. I was the only Panamanian, and when I said I'm from Panama, one of the guys just said like, are you lost? So that gives you an idea on how expat building that could be. So if you want to be around your people, those are the two main hot buildings, Coronado Bay or Royal Palm.
Okay. What about the opposite? Maybe you're leaving the States or Canada to kind of fully immerse yourself. Where might you want to look towards that are not?
Well, I've had that experience as well. I had this couple from Ohio that wanted to come to Panama and don't want the expat community, and they wanted something more private, something more exclusive, like more secluded. That's the word. And they preferred a small house in Costa Esmeralda, which is a gated community. Houses are not next to each other. The lots are bigger, and you have more space for your own privacy.
Okay. No, that's awesome. And we could do a whole conversation on this, but let's move on a little bit because I want to pick your brain and give people a sense of where we're at in the market. So let's say pre-pandemic. So that's like 2019,
Right.
2020. Now we're already in 2023. What's changed? What's changed out at the beach in the last 3 years?
Yes, and I experienced that because I was during the pandemic, the lockdown here on the beach in San Carlos at El Palmar.
Not the worst
So
place to be.
we had the roadblock that separated the beach area from the city. So in October 2020, when they opened the roadblocks, I had this exodus of people, Panamanian, coming towards the beach. So the rentals, they went over the roof. So I started having a lot of rentals all 2021. Then on 2022, the rentals dropped a little bit, but the purchasing increased like tremendously. So 2021, people were renting more, spending more time on the beach. Like for example, I manage some apartments here in the building that I live, and I was able to rent every single apartment that I manage every weekend during the entire 2021. Then 2022, I didn't have that high occupancy in rentals, but I was able to close some sales
Sure.
in 2022. They increased a lot. So yeah, that's what we're expecting for 2023, an increase in sales.
Yeah, it's been a great start to the year already. Joaquin, I think you just signed a deal today, right?
I did. I just got a signature on a promesa purchase agreement. So
Maybe people are
pay for
curious.
that.
And by the way, guys, I'm seeing your comments. Thank you. Thank you if you're watching from Florida, from Chicago, from Gorgona, right down the road from Joaquin. Would love to hear where everybody else is watching from. So tell us about that sale. Like what's moving right now?
Well, this is the couple that I just explained a little bit ago that they were looking for something more private, more secluded, and they decided to go for the Costa Esmeralda um, property, and they fell in love with it. So yeah, it depends on what you're looking for. I mean, I do have the portfolio with the best options to offer, so I
Hey.
narrowed down my search just to match your needs.
Yeah, no, like a real estate guy was. Hey, Munich. All right, Hans. Thank you. So terrific. So I and I'm sorry, but I don't know if you shared the exact details. Curious. The buyers again were from where?
Ohio.
All right. What did they buy?
A two-bedroom home in Costa Esmeralda.
Okay, and what is Costa Esmeralda? Talk to us about that community, just so people can get a flavor.
It's a beach community that's about 10 kilometers away from Coronado. We always use Coronado as the reference because it's considered the hub of the beaches. And it's not It's 10 kilometers away, right? It's a gated community, and the homes inside that gated community, it's not like a massive master plan. It's more like a slowly developed home atmosphere, maybe family oriented. And the beach over there is more than 2 kilometers length of beach. So it's the main attraction of that gated community would have to be the beach.
I love that section
Yeah.
of the Gold Coast, Costa Esmeralda in particular. And there's actually two sides. There's Cortijo, which
Yes.
is, I mean, what, there's maybe like 25 houses total there.
In total, yeah, it's very
And then
private.
and in Costa Esmeralda. So let's talk logistics. Love where everybody's checking in from, by the way. Yeah, Canada. Yeah, Bay Area. All right, Texas. St. Simon's Island. All right. Wonderful. No, we appreciate you guys watching, guys. And if you're just joining us, you got Joaquin Arias on the line. Joaquin is the man. He's already closed a few deals this year, closed quite a few last year. He's an expert. He's a gentleman. And he's a straight shooter. So anyway, we're trying to ask questions that maybe you're wondering about, and we would love to hear some questions that you guys might have. And I'll address Peter the jungle question there maybe towards the end, just so we can add some sort of variety to the combo. I'm trying to keep it beach theme related, but
Yes.
Okay. So Costa Esmeralda, cool. How far is that from Panama City?
An hour and 20 minutes with no traffic.
Okay. You live out in Costa Esmeralda, which, and if you're just joining us, it's a little gated community. How many houses in Costa Esmeralda?
I would say 50 in the entire development, more or less.
Cool.
It's very private.
With space for another what? 20?
Maybe 20 at the most.
Okay. What's your homeowners association going to run on a $300,000 property?
Well, in Costa Esmeralda, which is a gated community, it's not a building, not a PH. So the homeowners association in those homes, and I'm using this as an example, the one that I just sold, it's only $57.
Okay. So there's some of your holding costs. Let's go through the whole equation. So, yeah. And this is a cool, actually, David, thank you for asking. And I had a chance to rap with Joaquin for a few minutes before we hopped on. So I was aware of this signing, and I thought, let's talk about it in our little combo. So he just sold a 2-bedroom, 2-bath home, kind of custom. The guy's like a builder, realtor. Yes. You don't find too many 2-bedroom homes, but real cool. Two lines away from the beach. Yep. So walking distance, great waves, by the way. It's a shore break and a beach break, and it's pretty consistent at low tide. So okay. 275 grand in a little gated community. What's that get you? What's the square footage or metraje? What's the square meterage of the construction and the lot?
Okay, the construction was 130. Okay. Is sitting on a lot of 500 square meters.
So about 1,400 square feet, guys. Yeah. And what is that, like an eighth of an acre? 4,200 meters, I believe, is an acre, right? Yeah. So, not a big lot. And then again, less than $60 a month on your homeowners association. So registered value, let's call it 300,000 just to make the land or the math easy. Probably, did it have any exoneration left? Taxes?
Yes.
Okay.
A couple more years. It's a new property.
It's a new property.
It's a new property. Just
terrific.
Built. Yeah.
So how much is the buyer going to be paying in taxes once taxes kick in? I mean, he'll be paying land taxes unless it's registered for less than 36 grand, which it very well could be for the land portion. But yeah, talk to us about the taxes on that, just so people can get
taxes are always 2 and 3%, which is 5% in total.
Correct.
And you have to pay the DGI, which is the income ministry here in Panama.
Right. Now that's on the sales side. What about on the ownership side? What are his annual taxes going to be?
$1,300 a year.
Per year, guys.
Per year.
Mm-hmm. How about that? So
that's nothing compared to what I hear from my fellow Canadians and Americans under property taxes for a year.
Yeah. Where are you at, Texas? I mean, California, I can't even imagine what property taxes are these days.
I've heard figures up to 40 grand.
Yeah. So, okay, cool. No, that's good insight. Let me get back to, I got some questions and we did not practice this before. I'm trying to hit them up here. Okay. So transportation, you live out in Costa Esmeralda, or maybe you live in Coronado. Do you need a car?
you do need a car. Yeah. We still need the Uber service here in the beach area, and we're waiting for that. But in the meantime, yeah, we do offer, we suggest rentals, or if you can buy a car, definitely need one.
Do you have a guy or a few folks out there, Joaquin, that's kind of like a private driver?
Oh, yeah, definitely. That's how we transport ourselves from all the beaches. Yeah.
It's lovely, you
Yes.
guys. I
Yeah.
mean, in the States, forget about it. In Panama, it is awesome
Yeah.
to
They
just
take you
hire a
everywhere.
guy. Huh?
They take you everywhere.
Yeah. No, it's wonderful. Okay, so let's talk fun stuff. I'm an expat. Find a little place out there, maybe Coronado, whatever. What about opening up a business? Are there any case studies of expats that have started a business? I'd love to hear, of any success stories and maybe what somebody should ask themselves or be prepared for.
Yes, a lot of expats have successfully opened up business in the beach area, restaurants, bakeries. They've they've it hasn't been difficult at all. I mean, what I recommend is for you to like hire a good lawyer, and we have a lot of them here in Panama, very knowledgeable lawyers that will help you out throughout the process. But once you do find that person that will take care of you, opening a business as an expat is not impossible. It's not difficult at all. I mean, there are very famous restaurants in Gorgona, like La Ruina, that's run by an American, and people know about him, and they go to support the business directly with him.
Yeah, yeah. No, agreed. Awesome question, David. Keep them coming, sir. So let's say you sell 10 units. You'll that'll be a slow year for you. But of the last 10 properties, Joaquin, can you say how many have been single family? How many have been condos?
Okay, I'm gonna do my math based on last year, 2022. Most of them were definitely apartment condos. Yeah.
Okay. So would you say like 70% condo sales?
70% condo sales, that sounds about right, and 30% single family homes.
Yeah,
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 that
that
sounds about
that
right.
makes sense. Company wise as well. I mean, we sold a lot of property last year with
Yeah.
all of our agents, and Panama's kind of a condo country. We've got single family homes, but for folks, David, looking for oceanfront, unless you want to drop, 800,000 for a house, and you won't be in a gated community, you're not going to be right on the water. Right.
Right,
So if
that's
you want to
correct.
be now, you might be close enough to hear the water at night and
Hmm.
walk with your surfboard to go surfing. And maybe there are a few exceptions like El Cortijo, but you're not going to be on the water. El Cortijo is right next to Costa Esmeralda, and it's tiered, right? So you've got like 3 or 4 different sort of. It's built on a hill, not a steep hill by any means, but yeah, very good, smart development. But yeah, hopefully that answers your question
Yes.
as far as what's selling. Just simply, I think, is a function of price and what people are looking for. You come to Panama, it's nice to be on the water or at least close to it, or up in the mountains. That
Yes,
sort of
that's
thing.
correct, because there are several high rises all along the Pacific coast that are right on the water, and people are looking for that to be able
Right.
to just come down from your apartment and just steps away from the ocean and the
Exactly.
beach. Yeah.
Thomas, look at David. Love the questions. Okay, so Thomas, thank you. Playa Caracol, uh,
Yes.
great area, great surf break.
Great surf spot.
Yep. That's in Chame. It's Punta Chame.
Punta
So that's a
Chame.
peninsula, guys. Really geographically, really cool. As a peninsula tends to be, just juts out right into the Bay of Panama. Cool area. It for some, I think the objections tend to be it feels a little isolated. Like getting a Coronado. How far do you have to drive from Caracol to if you want to go to like the Reba Smith up in Coronado, Joaquin?
Well, as the name says it, Punta Caracol, it's on the point, the peninsula. That's 20 minutes away from the highway. So once you reach the highway after a 20-minute drive, then 10 more to get to River Smith. So I would say 30 minutes.
Yeah.
It's not a
not the
long
end of the world.
drive. I mean, you're used
It's
to
not.
driving long distances if you live in the States, but it's about a half an hour drive.
Yep. Cool. Okay. Let's see here. David, another question. 750K. Yeah. I mean, shoot, all depends on what you're looking for, right? We just listed a beautiful, gigantic. Have you seen this property yet, Joaquin? Matt took the listing. I actually met the
Of
guy.
course, I've seen it. It's beautiful. For those 750K, I will get you that home, and
Yeah.
it's worth every penny.
That's so. Oh, so really, David, there's options like nice properties available in most of the communities. Some more so than others. Buenaventura being more concentrated with big $1 million homes and nice big condos. Punta
Right.
Arena being an example. But we just took a listing in ¿cuál era? Playa Serena? No, it's what's the building of the penthouse in Gorgona?
Vistamar?
No, Gorgona. Era Vistamar.
No.
You know the one I'm talking about that Matt just listed with like the rooftop terrace, and it's like $1 million listing. It probably came on like a week ago.
Yeah, it's a brand new listing. That's right. Correct.
Do you remember the building though? It's like Bahia, maybe?
Yes, Bahia in Gorgona.
Bahia.
Correct.
Okay, cool.
Yes.
So, point being, David, is you've got 5 or 6 communities that you can choose from to get a really nice property. Buenaventura is much more sort of, it's gated community. There's an equestrian club. There's golf. I'm actually getting ready to do a big video on Buenaventura. Sorry, Joaquin, you're our beaches expert. Any other insight on, sort of luxury property?
Well, I would have to say Buenaventura and Bijao are the two major gated developments that are focused on like exclusiveness and that lure expensive homes. But you're right on the water, and the amenities are just breathtaking.
Yeah.
Bijao has a beautiful beach club. Yeah,
Bijao is great. Bijao, which is spelled Bijao, tends to get the more kind of jet set Panamanians. Like that's where you go on the weekends to your place in Bijao. And then, Buenaventura, I would say, is a bit more, it's bigger geographically. I mean, it's 10 times as big as Bijao in terms of
the master plan is huge.
Yeah, exactly. Richard, come on to Panama. The rain has finally cleared. Mara, thank you for your question. Any single homes in gated communities between Coronado and Rio Hato? Claro que sí. But gated communities, actually, let's think about between Rio Hato and Coronado. That's going to be like, what's that area right next to Coronado?
Well, we have Punta Barca Village. I have a beautiful listing there.
Ta-da. What's that? What's that run? Talk to us about that listing, just so people can get a,
4 bedrooms, 5 bath, 2 stories, single family home, $675 is the asking price with beautiful finishes, inner patio, swimming pool, open kitchen. It's beautiful.
Best salesman ever. How big is the lot?
It's 600 square meters, the home, and the lot is 1,000.
Okay, so 1/4 of an acre lot. That's in a gated community?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Okay, how far from the ocean?
It's about 2 blocks away from the ocean. It's not an oceanfront lot, but it's walking distance.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Now, Mara, you don't have to spend that. You say you're looking for 300,000. Gated. Let's say 300,000 to 400,000. Joaquin, are there any gated communities in between Coronado and Rio Hato? Single family homes. Coronado mismo. That's a
I was going to say
community.
that we have a listing in Coronado at $399, and it's a single family home that's really gorgeous. It's just a few steps from the ocean.
Absolutely. So yeah, and Joaquin's mentioning the listings that we're representing the sellers on, but keep in mind, when he's acting as your buyer's agent, we can show you whatever you're looking for. Yeah, it's not like just what we have. Okay, perfect. So thank you for your question, Mara. Richard, like I said, good luck in Seattle. Community, yes, great. Thank you. Pinnacle Sovereign. So families with young children, let's talk about schools, because I think that's an important function unless they're getting homeschooled.
Definitely an important question. Yes.
Yeah. So top 3 schools that an expat should be considering.
Well, there are the three top schools, international bilingual, fully bilingual schools are located. The first one is in Gorgona, the second one in Coronado, and then we have one in Buenaventura. So it all depends on where you are going to relocate. If you're going to be closer to the Riato Farayon area, then your kids should go to Buenaventura, which is a tremendous bilingual school, international school. And then we have the ones in Coronado and Gorgona that are equally as good.
Yeah, I mean, all things equal, I guess that's not an appropriate lead in. What is the best school? Because not all things are equal. Would you say Buenaventura is probably considered the school at
Creative Minds in Buenaventura is more upscale and more like exclusive.
fair? Yeah, good politician too, Joaquin. I like
Yeah.
it. You don't want to, I mean, we could be, we don't want to say any of those three schools are not good. There are families that really appreciate what each one is doing.
Yes.
Maybe obviously it's always a good idea to check out all three. The good news is that, from point A to point B is about 25 minutes, right? From like
Yes.
Coronado
Hmm.
to Buenaventura. So it's kind of function of like, okay, we like that school. So then we'll look at, we don't want to drive more than 20 minutes from, or we like this community and therefore, you live in the middle and they're both about 15 minutes from you.
That's
Right.
right. That's correct.
Yeah. And we're actually going to do a similar convo with Catherine Lefevre, is amazing. French Canadian, been living in Panama forever.
Hmm.
She has kids. So I want to do specifically beach living, although, Joaquin has helped hundreds of families relocate. Catherine can speak firsthand about things like, things to do with kids and like childcare and all of that. So we'll do a whole separate one on that. But yes, so community suggestions, I'll take that a little bit.
Okay.
Pinnacle Sovereign, if that's your real name. No, I'm just kidding. Is kind of like depends on what you're into, right? If you want to be in a gated community, if you want to be in Bihao, your kids are going to learn Spanish a lot faster than they'll probably learn in a place like Coronado. If you want to, oh, Deborah, look at you. Hold on. Stop the, hey, how sweet. That's very kind of you, ma'am. And I'm proud to report that anyone that's ever had the pleasure of working with this gentleman on the screen, not me, Joaquin, this gentleman on the screen.
Okay. Okay. Thanks for that.
No, Joaquin, thank you, Deborah. How sweet of you. Very kind of you for checking in and for sharing. Back to your question, Pinnacle. Is yeah, I mean, they're active communities. They're communities of surfers that tend to live near the break.
Correct.
Rick Rudd, can you help or be a buyer's representative on new development? I don't know if you're we'll have to get to that one. Not really following you, but hey, we can definitely help, right?
Yeah.
Okay, Mike, great. Let's go specifics here. Where's a nice place to buy 2-bedroom condo around San Carlos, 200,000 gated community?
Right here in El Palmar.
Yeah, I mean, it's true.
Yeah.
Now, what's available for sale in El Palmar, though?
A two-bedroom is running around 220, 200 mark, depending on the positioning of the apartment. But here along near San Carlos, there are other projects that also have that sort of inventory. That a two-bedroom at 200,000 mark, more or less.
Yeah, and I think the gated
Vistamar, I
community,
have a great listing in Vistamar around those numbers.
that's going to check the box, right? Because
Yeah.
Palmar, I wouldn't necessarily consider a gated community, right? Do they have a gate?
Uh, it's not a
Security?
gated community. It's more like a private high rise, if you want to call it like that. And the town of
Right.
Palmar, it doesn't have any real estate development. So, yeah.
I love Palmar, by the way, you guys. Speaking of Rick, interesting, you mentioned, new representative. Me and Joaquin are chasing a building that I can't wait to introduce you guys to. It's going to happen, whether we're representing it or not. We're still going to sell it. But
Yes.
yeah, keep your eye out for that. I'll just kind of
We'll
never.
disclose eventually.
Right. Okay. So yes, Mike, hopefully that answers your question. 200K would probably get you anywhere from, we'll call it 90 to like 130 meters. Right, Joaquin, for a two
Yeah,
bedroom,
sounds about right. Yeah.
and that's going to have a balcony, and they're probably going to have a gym, definitely going to have a pool,
Yes.
going to have security, going to have one parking spot,
And the
probably
best
going to.
thing is that they're always close to the ocean. If you're looking for that, you'll always be close to the beach.
So 200K is absolutely enough, to find something nice there. Rick, okay, cool. Trying to decide between building versus buying single family home. I don't recommend building to anyone that's not in Panama and that doesn't speak perfect Spanish, because just building your own property, be prepared. Not to say people haven't done it. There are challenges. Building a property in your local market can be a challenge. Just
Yeah.
multiply that times 10 in Panama. Just because, yeah, I mean, Joaquin, any experience with people custom building their home ground up?
Yes, I've had that experience, and I do have a couple of friends that are builders, and they're bilingual, so I always refer them, right? So they take care of the client, the buyer, and who's developing. It will make their lives easier. But if you don't come with someone to recommend a buyer, a developer, or a builder, then you will might struggle with the permits. That's the tricky part, to getting the
Yeah.
construction permits. Yeah, because you do
Yeah.
have to go to the government institutions, and not always they speak English, so it's a challenge. So I do recommend all of my buyers, if they're interested in relocating to Panama, the turnkey service apartments that are fully furnished in a PH, in a building, in a high rise, with all the amenities. It just makes your life so much easier, just to turn the key and find everything at your feet.
Yeah, I think you mentioned some important points there, Rick, to kind of, encapsulate what Joaquin just said. First of all, permits can be a challenge. Second of all, even if you have a trusted builder, you are still going to need to hold that person accountable, versus buying in a complex. The guy's got 3 different models to choose from. Even then, we've had challenging situations with developers that we might not necessarily be pushing, that our clients have decided to buy in. We advise them, hey, this is the guy's first project. He might be a little slow. And sure enough, the developer in this case, had challenges pulling his permits, getting power connected, forming what they call the PH, which is the horizontal property regime, i.e. the
Correct.
homeowners association. So, just know what you're getting into. There is a precedent. And yeah, okay, cool. I just saw a perfect answer. Thank you, Diane. Renting for 3 to 6 months, great idea. It's I think it's prudent. I think it
Yes.
allows you to get a sense of the areas. Expect to pay rental wise, walking distance to a nice beach, 2 bedroom. Let's talk condo and single family rentals. Joaquin.
Okay, well, a lot of people do this. They come to Panama for their first time. They're not ready to buy. They want to get a sense of the surroundings. They want to feel the experience, and they rent for a couple of months before they make the decision. Most probably, they'll end up buying. So if you were to like rent an apartment, let's say a 2 bedrooms, they run around from 1,200 to 1,500 on the beach, and then
It's a good realtor. Phone's always ringing.
oh my God, yes.
My
So
man.
yeah, on the beach, and then a single family home can be running around from $3,000 and up.
There you go. So condos are cheaper. You can find cheaper single family homes, but I think, 3K is good. Okay. So we got questions are pouring in. I love it. What's the average closing time when purchasing a property there? Average 45 days.
I was gonna say 45 days.
What
Yes.
I Yeah. It just depends. You have logistics where buyer and seller are both overseas. Seller is a corporation. Seller doesn't have his improvements registered. Buyer is using a bank. Seller needs to liquidate a mortgage. Then it can get into 90, 120 days. So yeah, it's a range. Work with a guy like Joaquin. He can see to it. We follow up. That's like half our job. Showing properties is fun, but that's like 10% of the work. The other 90 is just all of it. That's a whole nother conversation.
Being side to side with your buyer from the beginning till the end, when you deliver the key and you make their dream home a reality.
Yes. Love it. Well said. And also helping them anticipate the hurdles that are coming. Like, hey, by the way, this guy's working with X bank, and X bank sucks for liquidating the mortgage. So add another 30 days. And
I'm not going to say any names.
No. Okay, awesome. So closing time, Mike. La Ensenada.
Joaquin? La Ensenada, great project. I really like that one. I just rented a 3 bedrooms. 1,600 for a year. They start February 1st, and they love it.
And this is a nice. Let me answer that in context here, Mike, as well. But let's talk about. Okay, well, 750K. Let's go back to Ensenada property, right? And Satish, I'm going to answer your question in the context of Ensenada, and then we'll address Maryland. Go Terps, address your specific ROI considerations. Okay, so you just rented a 3-bedroom condo or home?
Condo. It's a condo, yeah.
Okay, $1,600 a month.
$1,600 a month.
What's the square meter?
118.
118. So about 1,300 square feet here, guys. It's times like 11 pretty much, times 10 and some change. Yeah. Okay, so 1,300 square foot, just rented it for 1,600. If you were to turn around and buy that place, what should that sell for, more or less?
Okay, the asking price on that unit is $399.
$400,000. So okay, so here's a fun one. Let's say somebody's asking $400,000. What would you advise? And this is not a hard and fast rule, but more or less, what do you think? Guys asking 400, what should you come in at? 370, 365?
Yeah. 370 sounds about right. Yeah.
Okay. So now we're at about, 8% below asking ish. And you probably close at around 385, something like that.
Yes.
Ish. Okay.
Yes, definitely.
Cool. So you just spent $385,000 and you're just going to get about $1,600 a month in rent. But what's the homeowners association on that?
It's $285.
Okay. So now we're down to about $1,300. And you're going to have to pay property management, which is usually about 10%. So that's another $160, right? $1,600. Yeah. 160. Right. So now we're at like $1,150. And then factor in another $50 a month, $600 a year for just fixing stuff. Right. So we're about at $1,000 times 12 is $12,000, and you just spent $350,000. So, I guess that's okay. 5% would be like $17,000, right? So it's more like 2 to 3%. And I'd say that's very, very conservative.
It's very conservative. This is a very specific case.
Right. Yeah. Because usually you can do a bit better, like 3.5%, 4%, maybe if you just nail it.
5. Yeah, depending on the deal.
You can do 5, but don't forget, you've got vacancy in there, which probably sat on the market for at least a month. What I eat?
Yeah, sure.
Right? Mm-hmm. And you got to pay these realtor guys their commission, which is 1 month. So really, you're taking that $1,000 a month and you're not multiplying it by 12, you're multiplying by 11.
By 11.
Because that's the realtor's first month in fees. So yeah, and you don't get, so Mike, real quick to your question, Ensenada, anything negative about that, Joaquin?
No, La Ensenada is a beautiful project. Gated community right in front of the ocean. It has Las Bovedas restaurant, which is one of the most famous restaurants on the beach area. People like it a lot.
It's Spanish food, isn't it?
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, it's good like bacalao.
Yeah.
So I mean, Satish, 750K. Yeah, you're gonna be mostly using that. Like if you were, I don't think that's the sweet spot for rentals. I think the sweet spot is probably going to be somewhere between 2 and 400K. After that, you might see some diminishing returns because, you buy it for 750K. In our example, you need to rent it out for like 3, maybe even 4 grand. But I don't know, Joaquin, maybe there's not a whole lot of nice places available for like $4,000, $5,000 a month out at the beach. Condos.
Condos, no. More homes. Homes, they run around those price ranges from 4 to 5,000. Big
So
homes. Yeah.
yeah, I mean, I would argue probably worth looking into in terms of you know, este lost my train of thought. Sorry.
Don't worry. Well, the Buenaventura large apartments, the penthouses, they run around those numbers. 4,000 a month, 5,000 a month. You're in Buenaventura.
What are you going to pay for that same penthouse?
Well,
Million?
those, yeah, 800, 900. Yeah.
Okay. So, if they're asking 9, you put in at 790. See what you can do, You squeeze them a little bit.
Yeah. That's how we
Anyway,
start.
okay. Terrific. Hacienda Pacifica, lovely development, Mike,
Yeah.
right?
Yes.
Joaquin, like right
Yes.
across from Coronado.
Right across from
Well-built
Coronado.
home. I like the builder. I think Shahani did a good job out there.
Yeah, the finishes in those homes are exquisite.
Yep. Big
Very
lots.
nice.
Also popular with expats and locals, so you're not living in a bubble. You have security as well, don't you?
Yes, it's a gated
Yeah.
community as well, and you can buy a lot, and then the developer presents like 3 options of how you can build your home, and you can customize it. But then you are able to build your own home, and you have the support from the developer, which it makes it easier. Or you just buy one of the houses that are already there.
Yeah, exactly. Which is nice, depends on if you want something now, later. Definitely rentals are available. I feel like somebody just reached out a couple of days ago about us leasing out there at Hacienda Pacifica, right? Did I shoot that
Yes,
one to you, Joaquin? Yeah.
yeah, that's correct.
Ta-da.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay, awesome. So Chris, Santa Maria. Oh yeah. Reach out after. We love Santa Maria. We're showing it all the time. That's in the city, upscale golf community towards the east. We can definitely help. Thank you for the opportunity. And there you are, Pinnacle Sovereign. Oh, you already know Matthew. Terrific. He's great.
Yes.
So Joaquin, Matthew, and Catherine comprise our Panama Beaches team. And between
Correct.
the 3 of them, you guys, my God, if I get all 3 of them on camera, I always talk about doing a Facebook Live during our sales meetings because we talk about so much good stuff that it's like,
By the way, the one that we had this morning was excellent.
ta-da, that's how we
Yeah.
roll.
Okay.
No, but we swap stories about basically like what issues we're running into so we can better serve our customers. But okay, pre-construction projects in Panama Pacifico. That's Joaquin doesn't cover that area. I know about that area. What are they building these days in Panama Pacifico? They're always building homes. The challenge out there, Peter, is it's such a big complex that you're always going to be competing with the developer, at least for a while, at least until it's really built out, because, they've got already like, I don't know, let's call it 400 homes, easy. They've probably got another 300 condos that are built. And they don't own those. They've sold those, but they're also now building more, right? More homes, more condos. Not to say it's going to be oversupply per se, but you're a buyer coming in. Who are you going to want to buy from? A reseller or new? Well, who's got the better price?
Right.
Hasn't really appreciated a whole lot out there just because there's always so much new inventory. Now, what's going to be the game changer for Panama Pacifico, Joaquin?
The expansion of the highway
Eso,
and the
papá.
metro system.
Guys, we haven't talked about that. That's why Joaquin, if he's not a millionaire yet, he will be in a few years. Not just because he's a good guy and a straight shooter, but because the beaches area, I can say this with all my heart, and I don't like saying these things, is going to be worth more in 4 years than it is today. How
Yeah,
much
it's
appreciation
definitely
have we
going to
had?
appraise. Yeah,
Huh?
it's definitely going to appraise. The expansion of the highway is a must. It's going
That.
to alleviate the traffic towards the beach area, and it's going to attract a lot of tourism, especially with the new metro system coming to Chorrera. But there's a plan that it might come to San Carlos. We're crossing our fingers. Maybe the government hears my prayers and it makes it happen.
Yeah, that would be cool. The whole thing is, guys, there's a lot of people that live in Panama City or that like the idea of the beach, but hate the idea of driving out there on a Friday afternoon where you still have like 3 hours of traffic in what should be a 1 hour drive. So, point is that I was alluding to, and Joaquin just mentioned, is the expansion. We are finally doing another bridge, making a 4-lane highway like an 8-lane highway or a 6-lane highway. I think one more lane on each side, diversions. It's a huge bottleneck right now. So it's going to make the beach that much more viable. Mark my words. It's on the
Yes.
internet now, so there's no
Yes.
turning back.
Yes.
So, okay, keep going. Mara, you're awesome. Mara, new development projects that have future closing dates 2024, 2025. We were just talking about that in last week's sales meeting. And the answer is yes. Here's another point about the beaches that's interesting. Not a whole lot of new inventory coming online. This time 5 years ago, we were looking at like 4 or 5 different projects, all of which have delivered.
Yes.
And so what's coming up? I mean, what's going to be done, Joaquin, in like 2 years?
Well, inside the existing gated communities, the new projects are being developed. For example, Buenaventura just launched 2 weeks ago the new Peninsula Sur development. This beautiful one-story large homes surrounding the golf course. And they also have the marina apartments that are under construction right now with a delivery date for December 2023.
Ta-da! There you go, Mara. And that's Buenaventura.
That's Buenaventura. There are other gated communities that are building inside their own community, like Punta Chame, Playa Caracol is also delivering some new units this year.
Continues to expand. Yeah.
Yes.
Chris, ROI not good? Yeah, I mean, I guess it depends on sort of your local market. At the end of the day, the advice that I always give to people is, look, you're probably not going to just want to invest in Panama for pure investment purposes because it comes, it gets kind of expensive to like fly down if you ever want to fly down and like check on your property versus if you kind of like Panama and you want to have a place, and sure, it's an investment for a while, you use it part-time, and then eventually maybe you spend 6 months at a time, or maybe you move down here permanently. That is probably 95% of our investor clients. You do have like Canadians, Europeans that like the idea, maybe they live all over the world. They like the idea of kind of planting their flag in Panama, i.e. residency here. As an American, my flag is always in the United States. So for tax purposes and obviously whatever residency purposes, like I'm never going to give that up. So yes, ROI not good. Each to his own, I suppose. But yeah, okay. So Thomas, if one were to buy a condo or house in the Coronado area, what rate of return on investment should I expect for rentals, either long-term lease, short-terms, Airbnb, short? Okay. Kind of what we just talked about, like 3 to 5%, I think is a fair number. And that's cash on cash.
Yeah.
Forget financing. There's no real, cash flow. You'll obviously, you build equity. You get a mortgage for whatever example, you're going to pay $800 a month. Maybe you rent your place out for $1,100 a month, but you're going to end up having to spend, 150 on property management, or 80 in that example on property management, maybe another 100 on homeowners. And, interest rates are high in Panama, like 5 to 7%. So, when cash on cash, pure investment ROI is still, at 3 to 4, maybe 5. Yeah. But not to say it's not a bad idea. I mean, we have investors, their properties stay rented, they're building equity, they're covering costs, but
Yes.
it's not like, it's like this just printing money. The market is fairly liquid, like days on market for a well-priced property, you can still sell. It's not like you're going to be stuck with it.
Yes.
Okay, cool. Sorry, I'm talking more. Joaquin, thoughts?
Well, I think you're absolutely right, Kent. 5% ROI, it's very reasonable, and it's very likely to happen depending on the project and the property and the deal, especially depending on the deal. It all depends on the seller. If they're in need for, I don't know, financial reasons. After COVID, a lot of things changed. So there's new inventory of sellers just trying to sell because they need to recuperate the money, so they're putting it at a better prices out there in the market. So if a buyer comes in and snatches that property, they might look into ROI of up to 6%, because those beach condos or apartments, they do get rented out a lot. There's a high demand for beach apartments, especially during the peak season. There's not much inventory for rentals right now. If you come up with me asking for a rental, it's going to be a tricky situation to get you an apartment during the months of January through March or April.
Yeah. Hey, proof of concept, right? Stuff is renting. Cool. Rick, Trinity Hills, love the builders. They're nice guys. We haven't sold much out that way. Joaquin, you know that project?
I know that project, but that's
Yeah.
based in the city, right?
Right, exactly. That's like more La Chorrera. I think they have some nice stuff out there. We haven't really done much out there. Not to say, it's just kind of not it's kind of like an area that we don't really cover a whole lot of. It's a lot more local buyer. All right, Chris, Playa Caracol. I mean, slightly similar situation as Panama Pacifico in terms of competing with the developer. Also, man, I feel like those guys, not Grupo Los Pueblos, they're great, but there were a few agencies that were promoting, I think, unreasonable rates of return. And I don't want to throw anyone under the bus, but the numbers that I was presented were not reasonable in terms of, hey, we can rent out your place for $200 a night. No, you can't. Like,
Yeah.
come on. Not when Buenaventura, hotel is going for 200 a night. Who's going to stay in your, 1-bedroom condo for that price? So Playa Caracol, as Joaquin mentioned, 20 minutes from the highway, another 10 to get into Coronado. Beautiful if you're a surfer, cool, well built, pretty decent beach. It can be a little bit tidal in terms of, like big beach, small beach with the tide. Joaquin, I'm stealing your thunder.
No, no, not at all. Be
Bit.
my guest. You're absolutely right.
Right on. Okay, so sorry, that's my son calling me on his new Apple Watch. Oh,
Uh,
yeah, I might have to get off of this because I might need to go scoop him up. Any specific areas, residentials to stay away from? Oh God, we can't do that on a podcast, brother. We can tell you some areas. I would say in general, be wary of new builders. In general, be considerate of loud neighbors.
right.
What else? What other advice would you give Joaquin without throwing anybody under the bus in terms of?
Well, I would always say that please do your homework and do your research. There are some of the developers that are most well known. Try to stick to those completed projects.
Yeah, I like that. You know, I used to look at the elevator. I don't show properties as much anymore, but to me, if they're going with some like Russian elevator versus like, Hyundai or golly, what were some good elevator brands? Shoot, I could have told you all of them, 5 years ago when I was in condos all day, every day. A ver, I think that's a nice litmus test. It's a little secret. It's completely irrelevant for houses. It doesn't do you any good.
Right.
But yeah, Mike, take that one offline. Joaquin can be a much more direct with you when we're not sort of as public facing. We don't want to get in trouble from any developers. couldn't even tell you a few real estate agents to stay away from, but hey,
Yeah.
okay. So Peter, 3,000 a square meter. Okay. Clayton. Yeah. I mean, that's the beach. I mean, sorry, that's the city. That's, canal zone. That's more my kind of expertise. Construction cost has gone up. Land cost has gone up. I don't think that's an opening price point by any means in the city. 3,000 a meter is high. And Clayton, not by the water, but depends on the quality of construction, yeah, I want to jam through all these. We're approaching an hour. My goodness, we appreciate all these questions. We'll probably sign off here in a little bit. Schindler and Otis. Yeah, Otis. Otis is like the brand, David. Thank you. Las Olas by David. So we don't cover that area, Lisa. I've been out there, a dozen times. It's cool, I mean, like it's Chiriqui, different vibe. I would say generally less expensive. Joaquin, what can you contribute on Las Olas?
Las Olas David. I'm not familiar with that project. I'm familiar with Las Olas Vista Mar.
Hey, there you go. I like the reframe. Yeah, Las Olas, for those that don't speak Espanol, is waves. So it's pretty generic. But yeah, so I mean, Lisa, while we don't cover that area, it's simply because it's very far from our offices. Cherokee is great. We can certainly refer you to anyone you might need help with in Cherokee. We've got a long and old network. Yeah, it's cool. I mean, it's just more laid back, if you want to go over to Costa Rica or up into the mountains of, Boquete, awesome. I would say generally the cost of living is probably a little bit less. I would say the infrastructure is definitely a little bit less, but yeah. So anyway, thank you guys both for the elevator. Schindler, I don't think we've gotten Schindler down here. Maybe there's a import opportunity there. Playa Blanca residency, please. Mike, if you could just expand on that question, and then we'll probably kind of start wrapping up, but we'll grab questions after we're done as well.
Yes.
What do you mean residency, please? I mean, like Playa Blanca is cool. Talk to us about Playa Blanca, Joaquin.
Well, I had a showing this morning in Playa Blanca. I just came from there. Playa Blanca, it's a great gated community as well. It started about 20 years ago, the first development in Playa Blanca. And now they have the biggest artificial swimming pool in Latin America, the Laguna Playa Blanca. A lot of people are drawn to that one, and they're
amazing.
It's really nice. And
you
it's
like to
just
swim?
A few steps from the beach, and you have the high rises, you have homes. It's a gated community that's been around for many years. So now it's very well developed, and there's options for all depending on the budget and what you're looking for. Single family homes, high rises, low rises, you name it.
Yeah. So okay. Thank you for expanding on your question, Mike. Is it a good rental? Easy to find a tenant? I mean, yeah, right. It has its appeal. I know, Joaquin, perhaps you can still testify to this, but for a while we had a lot of mining companies that like to be there because that's one of the further Western developments, closer to the area that they were running their mines. So it wasn't that far of a commute for them. It's still a heck of a commute. But what else can you tell us about an investment in Playa Blanca?
Playa Blanca is located just 15 kilometers away from the Rio Hato International Airport. And we started receiving the charters from Canada. So Canadians are coming to the all-inclusive hotels, and Playa Blanca has one. So they find themselves looking into the real estate development part of the project. And they end up returning to Panama, renting for a couple months during the summer month, which is cold in the winter in Canada. So
right now,
that's been happening for a couple of years now.
Yeah, no, such a good point. In terms of visibility, in terms of just sort of a feeder market, you got Sunwing, you got Transat. These charter companies are bringing down, like Canadians by the boatload. Some of them end up wanting to rent or buy. And like Joaquin said, Playa Blanca is generally their first stop. So yeah, I think it's interesting. Okay, awesome. Rick. Oh, hey, we'll put that compliment on there. Information of your content. Yes. All right. We appreciate you. Appreciate all you guys. Thank you. Please like and share this. Tune in. Hashtag Joaquin Arias. I don't know if that'll get you
That
on the
even
internet.
exists. Thank you for that.
Yeah. No, guys. Joaquin's as classy as it gets. Really, like, just the guy's got great experience, great insight, such an easy person to work with. Really knows the market. So yeah, I'm happy we were able to share this conversation with you. Please tune in to future conversations. Thanks, Joaquin.
Perfect. Thank you, Kent.
Okay, guys.